welcome back for round 2 of day 2, or top 55 as we have this time around. Yeah. So next game up will be Adam Hawkins versus Steffen Eriksen.
Yeah, it looks like we got a cool matchup coming here. Something we did see yesterday. It's going to be Zoroark GX, Lycanroc GX going up against another one of these like turbo Malamar lists.
We've seen an awful lot of Malamar. I think a lot of people have kind of gone, look, there's a lot of fighting in this format, and we can take a lot of one-hit KOs, but we can also kind of make it a box. We can kind of tech it exactly as and how we need to take out whatever matchup we come up against. And that looks what Adam's doing.
There's so many different attackers you can play in this Malamar deck. Colorless and psychic attackers, like we saw the Shining Lugia in last game as well, along with Mimikyu and the Oxys. Dawnwing's Necrozma, regular Necrozma. It feels like whatever you want to take for, you have the option to do so.
Yeah, and Adam also played this a lot last season. He played Malamar toward the end of last season. I think he played it in Sheffield. And you know, it's one of those decks where he's probably gone, okay, right, this feels like it could still do what I wanted to do. It did what I wanted to do last time to some good results. Let's try again.
Yeah, and clearly it's working. I mean, these guys were seeded pretty high up. They've had good records so far, and they made it through day 1 seemingly decently enough.
So I think they're nearly set up actually. So we have a very quick turnaround between rounds, which is really great for us. Nice lively tournament, keeping pace.
And for the players as well. It's always frustrating to have to wait for an extra
round, exactly.
So it's nice that everything's running really smooth.
But no, it's really nice. Again, these two players have almost certainly played each other before.
I'm sure at some
probably
point,
on stream at some point, knowing these two. Like they're almost always in top cut. They're almost always around. So Steffen and Adam are going to be able to kind of get us underway very soon, and it'll be a really interesting game. The matchup, depending on who you ask, or basically depending on which side of the game you ask, they think they're favoured. Which means it's a true 50-50. Yeah.
One thing I will say is that Adam's running a copy of Copycat, one of these weird draw supporters again that we're talking about. And Zoroark likes to trade and get very big hands. So we might see a Copycat for quite a lot of cards at some point during this game.
This is actually a really different take on how you disrupt Zoroark. Instead of getting rid of their big hand, but also getting rid of your hand at the same time, they've gone, well, how about we both have big hands?
Yeah.
That seems fair.
It sort of plays into that turbo aspect of the Malamar deck that the focus seems to be on.
Though his is not quite as turbo as the last one we had on. He's playing the 3 acro as opposed to 4. There's a few more tech choices.
Still got the 3 escape board in there though.
Yeah, so he's kind of pivot options so we can keep recycling stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So what we're hoping to see, we've seen games in this, but both sides have failed to set up because of weird prizes or just kind of dead drawing. So hopefully we can get to see what happens when both of these decks get kind of a decent start so they can get rolling.
Yeah, exactly. On Steffen's side of the board, just going through this Zoroark Lycanroc or Zoroark deck, there's nothing particularly too crazy. He's playing a split of Rockruff, I guess. He's playing one of the corner ones, if that ever comes in handy.
So I actually think this might be the same list as Jesper's list.
Could be, yeah.
So Jesper was talking to us last week about a list he played in the Cup. And he was talking about the split, and he was like, well, I didn't think it was going to come up, but every now and again you do wind up going, if I can win it for a turn, I think I can recover, I can stabilize my board. So he was saying that it's actually kind of nice to do that. And since you're playing a 3 Rockruff line anyway, it's less odd to play a split. Doing a 1-1 split feels kind of random.
Yeah,
but being able to do a 2-1 split means that if you need to go into something, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's just these like tiny optimizations and stuff, but stuff that definitely can make lists a lot better in the long run. He is playing 1 Tapu Koko as well for some spread damage, 2 weakness policy. It's nothing super out of the ordinary. No,
and again, these two lists look like lists that have been really well optimized. They've sat down and tested these a lot.
Clearly.
So we should see, when they're well optimized, we're less likely to see issues with consistency, we hope.
Which is great for the stream.
Yeah, it makes it against far more interesting. So I think they're more or less set up. They're about to do their opening hands and mulligans. So
yeah, looks like they both got a Pokemon here.
Both managed to start a basic. And Adam nearly forgot, but Steffen was like, nope, there's this big glass thing next to me.
We see 2 DC prized already for Steffen.
So Steffen's going to have some awkward prize cards. He's going to find it difficult to take them.
2 Inkay on Adam's side. I'm starting to feel like we're cursing people.
People who sit on that side and play Malamar have had a really bad habit of prizing Inkay.
I mean, it worked for Patrick last week.
They are underway.
Yeah. Are they underway?
They are underway.
Okay.
They were just going to go saying, yes, I was planning on going first.
All right. Adam starting us off then.
So he manages to find at least one of the other 2 NK straight away. Always a nice start. Can go get straight in to get the other one using that friend ball.
And opening Lele is really good with friend ball.
Yeah, well, this is the weird thing we were saying yesterday with friend ball is there's just some really weird things that come up with, like a Lele means you search your deck for basically everything. The only thing he can't search for in this particular list is the Marshadow GX. Every other attacker he has in here, every other Pokemon is a Psychic type.
Yeah, exactly. And he can even friend ball for the Marshadow GX if Steffen benches a Rockruff or something like that. It's a really weird card, friend ball, because like it's so like temperamental. Sometimes it's incredible, sometimes it's not. But the value you get out of it when like it does work is just search your deck for a Pokemon, and that's just really good.
So the big thing for it is that it has no drawback. Because everyone is really playing a Psychic type right now. Even the decks that aren't playing the Lele are playing Garb. So you kind of get away with it anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, he's playing a lot of cards down, getting his benchable. He has got 2 of his NKs out now. And even in the games where we have seen like excessive NK counts prized, 2 Malamar I've always seemed to be like just about enough to keep these attackers running.
Yeah, because a lot of your attacks are for 3 energy, and you have the one for turn, and something that sometimes it's a nice luxury to have the 3rd down because then you don't need that attachment anymore. But it's also kind of fine to put them down if you have to.
Having the 3rd down is that 2 Guzma off an Acrobike?
I think it was.
God, I love Acrobike.
It's a really tricky card because you can get some horrible decisions. I was talking to various people about their days yesterday. They're like, yeah, but it was great. And then I'm playing this one-off to this matchup that's really good. And I'm playing this other one-off that is like really useful for how my deck runs. And then I played Acrobike and I saw both. I'm
also convinced that Acrobike magnetizes Acrobike to the top of the deck. You could only play one Acrobike, and I'm convinced I'd still hit Acrobike.
Those were the days back in the Marshadow, back in the Night March days, of just kind of going Acrobike for that's a Night Marcher and an Acrobike. Beautiful.
That's great.
So Steffen playing the Great Ball. I've heard of a few players basically describe it as Sycamoring for just the bait for a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Without having to throw out the rest of the hand.
It's not too bad. I'm sure it's not ideal. And again, last format, Bridget was just definitely the killer option turn 1 that everybody wanted to go for. But again, it's turn 1. It's definitely better than Tyrant Ball, and it's this argument that a lot of players are having back and forth with Zoroark lists as to which one they end up playing.
Well, because they have to draw into their basics, they're now naturally playing higher counts of Pokemon, which means that actually they increase their Great Ball odds anyway. So it actually is more likely to hit. And once you get a few trades up and you can start burning through your deck.
Yeah, Great Ball could be like half of your deck.
Yeah, exactly. You can get to points where you're just going, this is like most of my deck and I need a basic. There's like 4 in here, I'll be fine.
And he does have a Zorua and a Rockruff down. It's not a super explosive start from Steffen, but it could be just about enough.
So Adam's just gonna.
Well, we know he has a Guzma in hand because he Acrobiked away Guzma.
So he can just go. I'm going to take out, and he has to make the decision here. The decision is actually a tricky one because the Rockruff is a threat, but the Zoroark you hit mostly for resistance. So you want to be able to a position where you don't need to worry about it too much.
I think all these Zoroark decks relying on just trading the setup is like if Steffen's only got 1 Zorua on the board, you have to take that out. You have to take the potential huge momentum swing into your favor.
Well, you saw Steffen's turn wasn't particularly good either, so you know he wants to draw cards at some point. And he actually top decked the Zoroark.
Oh, no.
So if he hadn't done that, he would have been able to take out...
Well, he does have the Judge in hand, but ideally you like to play that when you have the Zoroarks in play to get yourself out of the Judge. So, not the best start for Steffen at all. But if he does attach to the Lele again, he can start getting some damage on this Deoxys.
Well, he'd be, 5 energy, so it'd be 100 of the 120 down. Yeah. He does have the Coco. But that seems unlikely with 2 already in the prize cards and only drawing 4 cards this turn.
You never know.
I've seen less likely things happen on stream, so this is fine. And for Adam, he's not too bothered about this Judge, to be honest, because we've said time and time again, Malamar survives on a board state, not a hand.
I think he'd like some more basic attackers for sure, but other than that, as long as you've got Malamar, he's got things to attack with. He can definitely do stuff without, even if he's got a bad hand off this.
He's in a position where with I think it's 2 psychic energy and discard, if he can get to the second Malamar and 1 energy, he's good.
Yeah. And Steffen just benching his Rua and passing again.
I don't know, I'm not entirely sure what the facial expression from Adam was there, but it seemed to be like I'm going to draw for turn.
Well, Adam's hand has like a mystery treasure and an Ultra Ball in it, so he's getting out of
going to have
his
a turn
for sure.
Yeah.
He's even got a Guzma if he wants to.
So he has two choices. He can again just opt to try and take out the Zorua and just keep stopping Steffen from ever actually setting up an attacker with the one fighting energy already on the Lele. There's only 3 of those left to attach to the Rockruff on the bench.
Of course, and it looks like that's the play he's actually chosen to take here. He might have an escape board as well, or that's what he's going for this retreat. Or just pay retreat, of course, that works too. 1 retreat cost on that Deoxys is super nice.
It's just enough to keep kind of taking prize cards, slowly chipping his way through the deck.
Yeah, he's taking one of those Inkay as well that were prized, and this is an awful lot of momentum here for Adam. And he has Ultra Ball to keep going as well next turn. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of
so
options to keep drawing. He has the Mysterious Treasure still in hand, so we could see next turn is him just Mysterious Treasure to get a Lele, Ultra Ball the other 2 cards in his hand, drop a Malamar, Lily, and off he goes again. Like, exactly. He's fully refreshed his hand, has 2 Malamar in play, and he can just start setting up and taking knockouts.
Steffen's going to get a Lele of his own here. He's got 1 Zorua again on the board. I mean, Adam's gone through 3 Guzma now, so the odds of him getting another winner are now less likely. But
I think that was the question Steffen was asking was, so how many Guzmas have you already used? He's like, 3, yeah, it's 3.
Acro Bike. So it's going to be a Lily for 6 off Steffen.
Well, you can actually see these two, the 2 players are like having a little chit chat as they're playing. Like they would definitely have seen each other at various tournaments.
Absolutely. 2 players who've been going for a little while now and have always been doing really well at events.
Yeah, they're super involved in the game, like basically every tournament they can get themselves at.
Exactly. Well, he gets it easy. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And he's done the same math I did. Well,
it's like, well, I guess I do it anyway. And
if Adam was feeling really cruel, he could treasure for another Guzma here. And because he's got a skateboard there, I think. So
yeah, he could be in a position to just keep moving through and going, nope, no Zoruas.
I don't know if it's the play this turn, but all the options he has with that treasure in hand, though.
So if he can get to the second Malamar, I think he's now at the point where we can get 3 energy onto the bench Necrozma.
Yeah.
And at which point he can retreat, take the K on the Lele, remove all the energy on the board, leaving 1 DCE and the 3 fightings left in deck for Steffen. So even if he does get a Zoroark out, it's not really a threat.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just going to be so hard to respond when you're staring down that board state and 4 prizes behind. So yeah.
Well, it'll be 4 prizes behind, but also with what you know to be 1 energy attachment to actually attack with left. And we know that there's still a Marshadow in that deck somewhere for Adam. He hasn't found it yet. He's going to go for the Lily first. Mostly draw supporters.
Gets an energy attachment for the turn.
And he has the Ultra Ball to keep it.
And he has the Ultra Ball for the Malamar.
So he can keep running through his setup, trying to get all the Malamar out onto or as many as he can out into play so that he can get all the attachments in that he can.
He's checking to see if he can Ultra Ball away this energy, and he can't. If he does want to get those 3 energy down on the Necrozma, he's going to have to attach 1 from hand here.
And see the Malamar again. One of those cards that kind of bends the rules of the game by making attachments kind of not count. You can just keep getting them in, but also kind of means that conserving your energy. A lot of these psychic attackers do have huge attacks, but they discard energy or they
Steffen is like, scooped.
Yeah, I have no way of getting to anything.
That's a smart scoop. It's Steffen knows he's got his prizes are awful. He knows he's going to take a huge loss there. He may as well just give himself 40 minutes to try and win out 2 games.
Yeah, this is kind of an unfortunate thing. We were saying that hopefully we get into games where both players can set up and get going. And all we saw there was Adam just go, well, I'm just going to take knockouts in the Zorua. And then Steffen knowing full well that there's no DCE for him to hit. It's very unlikely for him to ever really declare an attack, let alone kind of push an awful lot of damage.
Exactly, yeah. That was definitely the kind of game where I imagine Steffen was like, I wish I still had Bridget. Like just 1 Zorua to 1 Zorua to 1 Zorua. It's not how Zoroark likes to do things.
It's actually a really big problem for setup for a lot of these decks where they're actually aiming now to do things like having to set up multiples simultaneously. They are in a position where really benching 1 at a time is never enough. You have to do things like Mysterious Treasure, get 2 Inkay out on the same turn, because most decks, if you go if they went first, Turn 2, they're knocking out part of your setup.
Yeah.
Which means that you never actually get into the game. Which is an unfortunate side effect of the format. Without being able to reliably set up multiples like we did with Bridget, you can actually just disrupt setup really efficiently.
And people are so desperate to do this. They're playing great ball. Like, that's just the place we're in. But yeah, the thing is, like, once Zoroark gets going, I think that matchup just plays out very, very differently for sure. Zoroark Lycanroc is an incredibly technical deck that it can be really hard to pilot if you're not too comfortable with it and if you haven't played it an awful lot.
But yeah, in the hands of Steffen,
in the hands of Steffen,
played it a lot. Like, you know full well he knows
yeah.
all of his plays and knows all of his best options.
It's the kind of thing that it feels like it has an out to almost every matchup it plays sometimes.
Well, it's actually one of the most difficult things to do in this current format is building around everything. We saw it at the end of last year's format as well, where you could be in a situation like, yeah, well, I could build a deck to beat Zoro, but in doing so, I immediately lose to Buzz. Or you can build to beat 2, but you could never then beat Malamar if you run into Malamar. So you're always in these horrible situations of there's no way of actually finishing off the whole kind of circle. And
there's a skill to trying to play around that whole kind of rock paper scissors relationship that a lot of these decks have, and trying to figure like, well, which of these rock paper and scissors is the least common? Which one can I take the loss to, or can I come up with some kind of genius plan that does beat them all?
Yeah, finding the kind of tiny hints and clues and the kind of small steps. Steffen has forgotten about his prize cam.
You know what?
And
no,
he didn't.
He has not forgotten about his prize
because
cam.
Adam was like, "Dude, we have this lovely shiny glass thing over here. Let's make the most of this."
No NK prized on Adam's board. We do have to check that now, I think, religiously every time Malamar is on
Split sleeve there, I think.
Split sleeve. Yeah, so we'll resolve that real quickly. While he's resolving that, I will say that a lot of the best decks that we end up seeing, and it was definitely a case for the World's winning deck this year as well, it's not the decks that have like a super favorable matchup against everything. Because those just don't exist. It's the decks that go like 50-50 with everything and you're just good enough to win them all.
Yeah, it's a really big factor because that's the way you reward skill in the game.
Exactly.
Of you take a deck where you know, okay, it's not super polarized, but I can beat everything if I draw well occasionally, but if I play well and stick to my game plan, I can probably beat everything.
Yeah. So
this time a Zorua start and a Great Ball, which I don't know if it hit.
It hit something.
It hits a Zoroark at least. Adam's like, that's a card you can take. Yeah, sure. I think I know I'll have this sort of discussion between players of just kind of going, yeah, Great Ball's not ideal on these turns. Is it? Like, you've kind of drawn something, but it's not what you were looking for.
I always love the names of these cards. Like, there's Ultra Ball, which is Ultra, we know, and then there's Great Ball. It's good.
So I'm trying what they're in German. It's Hyper Ball for Ultra Ball, which sounds really cool.
Hyper Ball is same in French.
And there's something like Super Ball.
Super Ball.
Which makes me think, like, okay, it's got the same colouring as Superman, with the red and blue.
Yeah, there's something going on there for sure.
And another quick search of the deck.
And then there's
off the
Pokeball,
Lele,
which we can never forget about.
Yeah. So, really trying to work it out of, I guess I'm Cynthiaing? Really threw that into the discard. That was like, down, yeah. I was not a happy Cynthia. That was a Cynthia of, I guess this is my only play this turn.
Opting to not go for Lily. He must have had a lot of unplayable cards on his hand. One of them we knew was Zoroark, so...
Well, having to play the Great Ball to take the Zoroark and then just put it back.
Ideal, yeah.
It's not ideal. He was clearly hoping to see some form of basic, didn't see anything. He could have just opted to fail it if he knew he was going to wind up having to Cynthia anyway.
He could have. Maybe he just wanted to show us, though. This is what my Great Ball got me.
It's like, seriously, I hit a card. It wasn't the card I wanted, but I hit something. There's a Rockruff. There we go.
He's got his own one copy of Friend Ball in his own Zoroark Lycanroc deck. Not going to do much with Justin across. I could get him a Lele for next turn, though.
Well, so this is actually the only real thing he can do, except until a Marshadow GX hits the board.
Yep.
In this matchup, which a few people have said they think, the Malamar players we've asked said it's favoured for them, being able to grab a Lycanroc at will, because they've benched the Marshadow to deal with the Zoroarks, is actually a really nice thing you can do, and it kind of maximises your ways of getting an attack on the board that's not weak to something on their side of the board.
Yeah, that makes an awful lot of sense.
So we just see a load of mysterious treasures. One of the most impactful cards we've had recently.
Yeah, and we've been talking about all the ball search cards and how people are playing really weird ones right now. The decks that can get away with Mysterious Treasure are like, people will flock to those decks just because they can get away with
it's only really good in decks that play high Psychic or Dragon count, so Rayquaza can make use of it.
And
Malamar can make use of it.
Both of which we're seeing in top tables, of course.
And obviously the world-winning Zoroark Arbalist opted, hey, Ultra Ball, bad card. Who needs Ultra Balls when I can just Mysterious Treasure for everything?
And it worked.
And so now we just see, hey, yeah, sure, I'll just search for 2 Inkay, guarantee myself 1 for next turn, get Deoxys down as an attacker early, kind of start using the prize trade efficiently. I think that's another Mysterious Treasure I see. In hand, I see the League promo symbol, and I'm pretty sure
the skateboards are League promos too. So
this is true.
Me a little bit off, but yeah, he's got 1 skateboard and I think 1 or 2 treasure in hand.
So basically, next turn, Adam will find the cards he needs to get the Malamar.
There will be Malamars coming now,
and if he can find a way of getting a single energy attachment in, you put the skateboard down, knowing that he can reduce the costs. And this way he can accept a retreat. He actually has the Guzma.
He's playing the treasure right now. Is he going for Marshadow?
He is. We'll keep refreshing his hand.
We're going to
work his way through. And let loose to kind of also slightly disrupt Steffen's setup. Because he saw Steffen had an okay start this time. He did have to Cynthia. But his board state is already at the point where it's kind of threatening. Yeah. Can get a Zoroark and a Lycanroc into play pretty quickly.
I think it's a smart play as well. Because he looked at his hand and saw there's no draw spoilers here. So next turn I'm going to have to treasure for Lele, right? If I'm going to do that, I may as well just treasure for Marshadow right now and get more value out of this by seeing more cards this turn and disrupting Steffen.
So yeah, he gets a bit more out of the turn. Maybe he gets into a point where he can, I don't know, maybe find an actual draw support ready for next turn and find ways to get into Malamar at the same time. This is basically the only real form of Pokemon draw that we have.
Yeah,
turn 1. A lot of people kind of make comparisons with things like Shaman for that kind of thing. Of
it's not quite the same as Shaman for sure, but you can use it for the similar purpose.
So the retreat by Adam into the Marshadow.
Only pays 1 because of that skateboard.
Yeah, if you might as well because of the Marshadow's not really doing anything else in this matchup, so
you can let that go down. But Steffen bringing up that Inkay immediately.
Steffen has been let loose into a very strong looking hand.
He has
the fighting energy for the attachment as well. With the DCE already on the active Zoroark.
And he hasn't even traded yet.
He's going for the DCE first.
Yeah. That's safe against Malamar. You can assume they don't play Enhanced Hammer or anything.
And he's going to hope to draw back into the fighting energy.
He's got Kukui and Lele. So
he can now Lele, get in as a supporter, draw some more cards this turn, and keep trying to set himself up and get into a position where his Lycanroc can be terrifying. The only problem is that he might run into is he's only got 1 more bench slot left, so he doesn't really want to have to bench the Lele.
Yeah, he'd like another Rockruff there if he can.
Yeah, that's the ideal situation, is to get the other Rockruff down, because he knows that the Zoroarks are going to stick around for a couple of turns, most likely.
Interesting, turn 1 he did bench that Diancie Prism Star as well, so he must know that it does fix math in this matchup, that he desperately needed it down, instead of keeping that bench slot free.
So now the basically free retreat Deoxys.
Yeah, a smart move as well. He didn't play the Lele at all. He's trying to keep that up. See what his prize card is. See what his top deck is. He doesn't need anything else this turn. He's free to just take the KO and give himself that extra bench space.
So Steffen is playing 1 copy of Field Blur. A lot of people have cut the counts very low. I believe if this is the same list as Jesper, there was some form of discussion along the lines of wanting it for the weakness policies, because against the mirror.
Now, yeah.
So in the mirror, it's super helpful, but it's also kind of a neat card in general.
Yeah. So he's attached return onto the Marshadow. He can. I was going to say Metal Links onto the Marshadow. he can use Malamar to attach an energy to the Marshadow. 2 energy is not quite enough to get the KO this turn. I suppose he could Psychic if he's got a Deoxys in his discard pile, but
I don't think he did.
He might just be building it up for future turns.
Yeah, I think the only Pokemon I've seen in his discard pile is the Necrozma. He would rather not use that this turn because it's just horrific overkill.
Exactly.
And it's wasting the kind of energy attachments. So
he's going to retreat and go for the Hypnosis.
And we're going to get the Sleep Flip to see what happens. So Zoroark goes asleep,
wakes up.
I
think this is actually kind of smart from Adam, especially he sees Steffen's board. He doesn't know Steffen has a Lele in hand because he just had 3 cards in his hand, right? So Adam is thinking, well, I can safely power up this Marshadow because these lists, the Zoroark lists, usually play a lower Guzma count than most Zoroark lists. He doesn't have a Rockruff on board, so it's probably not going to pull up my Marshadow here. If Steffen probably can't take a KO on this Marshadow this turn at all, so it's safe enough for Adam just to power it up on the bench.
So yeah, he's playing the 3 choice bands, so he can reach, but he'd have to Guzma retreat the Rockruff, and that's not going to be a great idea in this game.
He's going for the trade first.
So he finds Devoured Field.
He's got another Judge in hand, but he does have the Lele. He might opt to Judge here because he does. It seems like he values that bench space.
Get the fighting attachment in, so that's now a fully powered Lycanroc, able to use both Claw Slash and Dangerous Rogue. Yep. Dangerous Rogue at this point taking a KO on
literally
anything.
Everything.
Even basically the biggest HP Pokemon in the game. Hitting 250.
And he's playing the Lele for the Guzma, so he's spotted this Dangerous Rogue play as well, or I assume it's going to be Dangerous Rogue. He might Claw Slash and Malamar as well.
He may... If he has Choice Band, he can also take the KO with...
I don't know if he does.
I don't think he did. He's going to go for the Guzma.
Yeah.
So basically, really speaking, Adam's Hypnosis Flip, no matter what, was always being countered this turn.
At least the Inkay will survive for Adam then. So he can keep the Malamar going. Like
I'm guessing what happened there was Steffen's like, yeah, I'll go for the Marshadow. And he was like, this one, right? The Let Loose. You want to take this one? It's like, oh, do you want this dude?
Hey guys, when you're writing your deck lists, don't forget to put GX or not GX after the end of the Marshadow.
Yeah, it goes in.
Take the threat off the board.
And I'm going to guess he's going to flip the GX marker here. Yep, there's the Dangerous Rogue.
For a lot.
For 250 damage on a 150 HP Pokemon,
yep.
So that's definitely a knockout.
Very dead.
And draws for the turn to see what he had, because he started really quickly and got a nice setup, and then it kind of slightly stuttered.
Yeah, it did. But again, with Malamar, he can get a second Malamar down here, and he's got the escape boarded, the Deoxys, and the active. He can power up whatever he wants necessarily here. Let's see. If he attaches a turn to the Necrozma, he could do 6, 12, 18, 190 damage to this Lycanroc, and if he finds a choice, well, it's already got an escape board on it actually, so that might be a little more difficult.
So he'd actually...
He might look for a different attacker this turn in that case.
Instead benches the Lele, so he's going to have to work with whatever he's got on board, using his last bench spot to guarantee a support for the turn. Taking the Guzma. I guess he has the attachment. Maybe he's just going after the Lele, wants to take a couple of prize cards. Cynthia. So
goes to the Cynthia instead to refresh the hand.
Yeah.
I suppose he could Black Ray here if he was worried about things being in KO range. I mean, there are 4 GXs in Steffen's.
Well, Black Ray here is 60 to each of the benched Pokemon, right? Or 6 to each GX.
It is 100 to each GX.
Oh, so 100 to each GX is really nice, because that means that Deoxys then can finish off everything on board. So with 120, so it actually couldn't finish off the Zoroark. It would be Tenchal on the Zoroark, because it has resistance to Psychic. But you would be in a position to set up everything with enough damage that the other attackers left in the deck can finish things off a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, it could be an interesting play if he wants to take that line.
He is also playing the Dawn Wings Necrozma, which is the more typical GX attack you use in these kind of games.
And he's behind on prizes, so he might try and save that.
But I'd be interested to see if he can either hit into this and see what happens, but no, he's going for the Black Ray. And
this is the thing as well about Malamar decks, is when you're playing this many different attackers, you have this many different options and there's decisions to make during games.
Well, there's an awful lot of kind of decks where you are actually looking to have a good GX attack, but you look at this, and it actually has 3, because it has Necrozmas, Dawn Wings, but it also has Tapu Lele for the Tapu Cure in certain matchups.
And you can copy all of these with Marshadow.
It's just kind of gets to these, it has a lot of value available to it.
That Necrozma in the active is probably not going to get KO'd this turn either, so he can probably just declare the other attack to take a KO next turn if he wants to. I'm not sure what's going on here.
I have no idea. I think
Steffen scoop?
I don't know. Try and see if they start shuffling up for game 3. If Adam's like, yeah, no, you've
no idea. What happened there?
No, it looks like so. I think Adam was like, yeah, okay, you've played out of it. It's fine.
Okay.
So the score's now 1-1. Stefan managing to pull that game back, and we just see that this is truly a 50-50 matchup in both games. it can go either way really easily.
The other thing is, well, both players scooping pretty early means they both want to win this. Like, neither of them is going to settle for a draw on this one.
Also, at this point of the day, when you're already on, I think what they're on 22 points, we think it's going to be around about 32-ish, maybe a little bit more to make cut. So they really can't afford draws. They need to keep winning to kind of keep the points total running in.
Especially 5 rounds of Swiss, I believe it is.
Remaining, yes. So they need to get quite a few points out of these last few rounds.
Yeah,
so
you really need to maximise your game.
A tie is basically a loss for a lot of the people in this tournament now. So, you know, having to play into top 32, one of the big issues that we have, or one of the big changes we have this season with the 19 points guaranteeing a day 2 slot, means that you're actually not guaranteed your top 32 anymore when you make day 2, which means even if you're not playing for top 8 anymore, you need to play for top 16 as always, but you need to play for top 32 and kind of keep going throughout the day. You can't just go, it's fine, I made top 32, I can lose a couple of games. It's not the end of the world. These guys can't afford that anymore. They actually, if they want the points and they want to get their prizes for this tournament, they've got to keep going and winning every game.
That's true. The tournament definitely still continues like into day 2. Whereas sometimes, you know, like last season you might have made top 32 and think, I know how many points I'm getting. Like you can confidently say exactly like roughly where you're going to finish, whether you're going to make top 8 or not. This is a different story. Like,
well, so that was actually the reason for the 19-point change. Is mathematically, it's possible for the people who are on 19 points to make it.
They got to win a lot.
They've got to win all of their rounds realistically, but they can make it. So that was why the change was made. It's like, well, why are we saying to people like you're not in the tournament when they could still technically make the final?
Yeah, technically. That's why 19 points is the cutoff as well. Like,
yeah, any less than that, and I don't think it is possible anymore.
So they're set up for game 3. Very weird set we've had so far. But yeah, and again, hopefully we see both decks being super consistent and showing off exactly what it is they can do.
So Adam will be going first in this game. Starts the Necrozma again. Probably not what he really wants to start with.
Yeah, he probably wants to start with a 1 retreat cost Pokemon just so he can escape board it and get straight out of there. Not too bad though. You only have to pay 1 retreat with this with an escape board.
And we see one of those turns where he's like, all right, I need to map this out because I can Lily. So how... Stephen's like, you're holding a Lily, right? It's like, yes, I'm holding the Lily. I'm just trying to work it out. Let me see if I can go lower.
So Friend Ball...
For nothing?
Fail that.
Ultra Ball...
Away the Psychic. You want to get that in the discard pile as early as possible. So he could have played that onto the Necrozma to draw more with the Lily, but he knows he needs them in his discard.
Well, it's one of those discussions where people said, I'm kind of concerned about the ability to get things into the discard pile reliably now without having access to Sycamore. Sycamore became, for turn 1, if you had a couple of energies in your hand for Necrozma, for Malamar decks, Ray as well, you just went, hey, it's fine, I just bin them, keep going with my turn. They're basically, I can get them whenever I want anyway.
Yeah, your other options these days are Sophocles. Mystery Treasure can do it as well, which is nice that you can run that split in these Malamar decks. It's not as consistent as the whole Sycamore engine used to be. So I think every time you got the opportunity to get one of this card, you just got to take it.
Yeah, well, you see it with off the Acrobikes all the time.
Acrobike as well.
When you Acrobike, you see Psychic Energy and other card, and you just take the other card, unless you really need the attachment for that turn. So
he gets the attachment in anyway, so
goes active. Oh, well, it may go active.
He can get it somewhere.
I think he has another Mysterious Treasure. So he can...
He's got a Malamar in hand as well.
I see a Marshadow. I don't see... Oh no, it might be skateboards and a whole lot of them. And a Cynthia for next turn.
Yeah.
He knows really that Steffen isn't going to be in a position to take a knockout for a few turns.
We're seeing immediate... Like, third game in a row, I think the first card Steffen plays is a Great Ball.
Yep.
And he gets his Zorua with this one. So.
Yeah, so what we see is he has other options for Ball Search in his hand, and he plays the Great Ball first, because he doesn't want to be removing things, guaranteed card effects. He wants to maximize his odds and have as many Pokemon left as possible. So he's, it's one of those extra parts of decision making. This one's a fairly straightforward one, but there's a lot of kind of going, okay, if I need to hit exactly this, is it worth trying Great Ball first?
Yeah, sequencing is just a huge part of this game, especially once you get into like day 2, like where we are now, and all the top players are here. They're going to be making the most optimal ordering of their cards as they possibly can be, and that's just a great example of it.
Well, you saw it with Adam's turn where he was kind of laying out his turn of how low in a hand size do I go? You could that's kind of going right. I need to sequence, especially with Lily. You're aiming to get to 0. or as close to 0 as possible, which is really tricky to do, but can be really fun because you have to go, okay, I just play the friend ball for nothing? That's one less card I need to draw. That's
the unsung advantage of friend ball, is you can just play it from hand immediately.
So we see a pal pad now from Steffen. I don't think we've seen it so far in this game. Alele, probably going to take one of the cards he just put back.
I would imagine.
It's like, I'm just going to make sure they're all in here.
Grab it. There's your Lily for 8. Yeah, from 0. Much better board, can I just say, for Steffen than he's had in previous games. 2 Rockruff as well. Is ideal for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a thing where he's very much going to set up immediately.
Yeah.
And the Lily for 8, which means that he's likely to find ways to get into the Zoroarks or the Lycanrocs to kind of get an attacker on the board.
Adam can always respond to this with one of those let loose Marshadows, though. He does have the treasure in hand, and he was holding it, maybe thinking that Steffen might go for this Lily.
Well, again, it's something that at this point in the tournament you see a lot of is people understanding the value of not having to play a card immediately.
Yeah.
They're going, well, look, I could let loose and try and draw myself some more cards now, but I assume my opponent's going to be able to get to some form of decent Lily turn, but he's going to be looking for evolutions. So if he wants to go into that, maybe I hold this so I can do it next turn. Though Adam is also holding a Cynthia, so he's probably going to Cynthia. Then
that would also make sense too. There is definitely that argument to be made for, though, that like Marshadow and Judge are better turn 2 than turn 1, just because it's after your opponent does like a Tempest or a Lily for 8.
So it depends very much if you're hoping for them to brick or not. If you're hoping for them to brick, you can just go ahead, throw it down turn 1
if you want to donk, it's turn 1.
You missed, right?
And he's going to go for that. That's India.
Yeah, maybe draw into the Marshadow so he can get rid of a lot of the cards in hand. I did see a Lycanroc and a Zoroark for Steffen. So
and with the Lele on board, Friend Ball will also get it.
The one remaining Friend Ball.
The one remaining.
He's been playing the 2 copies. And it looks like the 2 players are having some form of conversation. It's really nice, even at these points of the tournament. Like this is probably like not about game state. It's probably just a nice little chit chat.
The thing is, these guys have been in this position how many times before?
So
they can take this casually.
When we bring the guys over to the stream, we're always like, "So have you guys been on stream before?" With these two, it's
you
just
don't
like,
need to ask.
"So you guys want to just sit down and chill, right? Like this is fine."
Yeah, and there's the Friend Ball. I wonder if he will grab the Marshadow or if he'll grab an NK. He does need to get a few more things on his board for sure.
Yeah, he's just going to look at the rest of his hands like, how much else of this can I play? Because he doesn't really want to have to Marshadow himself down.
Yeah,
sometimes he wants to be in a position like with the Acrobike. Like he has to decide, does he want to Marshadow before Acrobiking? Because if he could Marshadow himself back into it, and be able to draw, then go through more cards and get rebuild a hand. So
he's gone for the NK instead, so he's opting for just a better board in general. But yeah, I agree. Sometimes you do have to think, I don't want to play this Acrobike. I want to draw into it after I've made my hand a lot smaller.
So now at least in a position where he can start getting a couple of attachments in a turn. We see the Acrobike. Going to have to wait for Steffen to finish shuffling. And I see it.
Acrobike to Acrobike.
That's a familiar sight.
I think it's Treasure is the other card.
Yeah. Why take if you're looking for a Pokemon, why bother taking the Acrobike when you can just guarantee that you search it?
Yeah, easy enough decision for him. Guzma's the thing he had to discard, though. That's the only real difficult thing.
And another NK. Yeah, he knows that to take KOs, he has to use an Necrozma GX with at least 4 energy.
This is something you mentioned earlier as well, is that you could disrupt the Lily Fray or you could match it.
Yeah.
And just say, what if my board is also crazy good?
I think his copy of Copycat is in deck. It's not in the prize cards. I think he's playing an old school copy as well from the Hot Gold or Silver Reaver.
Nice.
Probably had that lying around because he's been playing for quite a while.
Bought it at the time.
Yeah. It was kind of
Copycat's gone back as far as Ruby Sapphire though.
Yeah, well. It goes way back as a card, and probably sat there going, "Yeah, but I've only got one. It's great. Thanks for the reprint, guys."
So on 7th turn, and he does have his Zoroark in hand, so he'll be able to now he can get going.
So immediately having to start setting up his board again.
7 is a lot of cards to get off Great Ball, but it looks like he's missed.
Yeah, I don't see anything in there.
I think he has another Great Ball in his
hand. No, there we go. He had another Rockruff. Yeah. You can take it out.
That's the corner one that we were talking about earlier as well.
Playing the split, because occasionally being able to use corner to stick something in the active if your opponent has used their Guzmas is a very nice option.
You never know, especially when Adam's relying on a skateboard in a lot in this matchup. Could come in handy.
Well, largely it's things like a cargo stuck to the active.
Yeah, buy yourself a few turns with that.
So we see another great ball. There's some of the Lycanroc, and Adam going, oh, that means one of my Malamars is going away. Thanks.
Most likely.
So we've just been told that for people trying to check the pairings, want to see check out how people are doing, the pairings command is now updated, so it should be working for you all.
Yeah, that's exclamation mark pairings if you're wondering.
So if you want to keep up to date with how everyone else is doing and not just the stream game, feel free. For some stats on the tournament yesterday, Yokmok have taken the time to make a really cool pie chart as well on their website, which is super nice. So we can also have a look for that. I'm assuming there we go. There's an exclamation mark meta, which will show the. We'll be working soon to show that. People on the computer working hard for us this morning.
Thanks, Leah.
So we see a couple of attachments, some tools coming down. We see 2 weakness policy. We see the choice band. The choice band on the Zoroark already is actually really nice because it means that.
Yeah, you put it in Marshadow KO range that way.
Yeah, it kind of always threatens a Marshadow.
Yeah. Any field lower on Adam's side? I highly doubt it.
There is not.
Yep, there you go.
So this was actually the side effect of decks. So having lost Garbotoxin and Floatstone and being Garbotoxin out of the game, everyone was like, I don't need Field Player anymore. I'm not going to just get stuck behind a Garbotoxin going, help. So
yeah, it's a lot harder to justify in your list these days when there's nothing directly that you're trying to counter. Like even last format, it was like, oh, I'll just incidentally get rid of some Floatstones and have a good time that way. But
so Adam's just going, what a turn you're having. He's played all these cards down and he hasn't even committed a supporter until that Cynthia.
Yeah. He has used his trade though, so he does need to hit double colour to stop this.
He does. One's prize, so his odds are still fairly good. It's not all of them.
Yeah.
It's not as many as prized as last game. So, at least he's going to be in a position to keep up a little bit. Be able to keep finding the attachments, which is actually a really important thing for this deck.
Ah, there it is.
There he gets the DCE, so that one Malamar was going.
Not sure what that was.
He was just like, I can count right, that's 6. And I was like, yes, I know, it's early, don't worry.
Yeah. So we'll take the knockout in the Malamar, and
he's like, what was he checking there? I did evolve this from a Zorua.
Yeah, I didn't just bench the Zoroark.
And takes knockout on the Malamar.
This is really justifying Adam's play last turn where he just got a bunch of Inkay down as well.
Well, because he's now in a position where actually being able to attach, so double attach 2 Inkay and attach it from hand, then the Necrozma comes in to KOs.
Yeah.
And actually leaves himself with, if you can do that without having to bench too much, you can actually play around the Dangerous Rogue at the same time.
Yeah,
which actually makes it super difficult for Steffen's next 2 prize cards.
Yeah, if he somehow avoids benching things this turn, Dangerous Rogue is capped at 150, so... I like that he's got that Inkay like really far away on the board.
It's like, this is my least favourite Inkay, this one lives over here. So he has the Marshadow, so there are other options he has in deck. I think that was a choice band attached to it as well.
Just we were talking about it, like Dangerous Rogue was not actually a threat for this turn as well.
There's no energy.
There's no energy on the Lycanroc. He's fine. The Marshadow is probably the safer call here.
I think that Marshadow has a choice band. I didn't see him attach the tool, and the text is a little bit too small for me to read.
Either choice band or a skateboard. It is hard to say.
If it's a choice band, then he could actually opt to use the Malamar's attack that's in the discard.
He can't because it's not a basic.
This is true.
Yep.
Yes, when it comes to the basic Pokemon's attacks. Good point. So,
but Psychic Sphere for 90 would be kind of cool. Well, 180, I guess.
So the meta thing is now up to date. So you can have a look at the meta wheel that they made for us. It was for the full registration numbers, so someone had to sit down and go through all the deck lists.
But it looks great.
It looks really nice, but that is not a fun job of having to sit down and go through all 500 odd deck lists and make kind of put them into categories. So Mysterious Treasure getting rid of the Dawn Wings.
Now he's got a good Marshadow.
Now he has a really good attack, and he's also behind this turn.
Yeah.
So if he can get the 3 energy in play, he takes the KO, and the Marshadow's not going anywhere.
Exactly. And again, this is like just the best thing to copy with Marshadow because he's so fragile that you just want to keep him alive.
Though to be honest, really speaking, this turn the Marshadow's not going anywhere anyway.
Yeah,
there's no way of hitting 150 on it.
Well, yeah, he put that weakness policy on the Zoroark. So
you have to field blower his own weakness policy.
He would. And he's maybe Adam spotted this actually, and he's going for the.
So he's got the Necrozma.
For the Necrozma.
And he's going to go for Black Ray GX, I think. I saw him.
Black Ray,
if my lip reading is any good. Why has he put the 100 on the Zorua?
Has he put
that? Should be on the Rockruff. Someone should probably go tell them that it's on the wrong Pokemon, because that would be a very KO'd Zorua. The Zorua shouldn't have the damage counters on. The Lycanroc should have the damage counters on.
No,
there we go. He spotted it. He was like, it's okay. No, you can do that if you want. Like, feel free. Kind of going, but I'm just assuming it's a Zoroark. It's going to be a Zoroark.
How much HP does this Zorua have? Like,
Black Ray GX, you've seen it the second time in this game.
Yeah, so clearly Adam values it a lot. I mean, there's so many GXs on Stefan's board, and they're all in KO range now for basically whatever he wants to attack with.
Well, it sets up all of the numbers. So it's an escape board on the Deoxys, but it means that if he gets anything down that can hit, well, basically for the Lycanroc, everything can KO it.
Yep.
For the Zoroark, he needs a little bit more damage down, but it's not too unlikely to see it. It also means that he can copy kind of less optimal attacks in places to be able to fix things out. So Marshadow using things like could use the psychic attack from Deoxys and finish things off now.
Steffen field blowing away the escape board on the Deoxys. It makes it a little harder for Adam because now he doesn't know what to promote. First of all, going into his turn, if like this Deoxys or Necrozma was to go down. But on the other hand, it means he can now choice band it, which fixes some math against Zoroark because it resists psychic.
Yes, so it means that he can actually now hit the numbers with the Deoxys, which is really good for the prize trade. So Steffen, ideally, he wants to find something like a Devoured Field. That means he then does take the knockout on the active. Otherwise, the Necrozma is going to wind up taking basically 2 prizes and setting up all the other 2 prize cards.
He'd need Devoured Field and Kukui, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would. Yes. He'd need a couple of extra cards to be able to hit the numbers.
Yeah. Devoured Field's a cool card that like people started playing post-rotation as well.
Well, yeah, so before rotation, Zoroark decks had to only really consider themselves a parallel as a stadium, because if you weren't playing parallel and your opponent did, you lost.
Yeah. Because
they had more damage output than you. But now you can actually just concern yourself with boosting yours, not reducing your opponent's.
Exactly. And hitting 130 against things, it's good numbers. So he's going to Acerola up the active Zoroark. One way to play around the Black Ray GX for sure, but it's still an awful lot of damage counters on his board.
So it's one of those things where there are still 300 damage counters. There's 300 damage on board for Steffen. It was 400.
A few more Acerolas and he'll get there.
Some talk about this kind of the Malamar style thing working really well and expanded because of the Psychic Tapu Lele, where you could Black Ray GX one turn and then just magical swap to put them all on on 3 things and go, right, I think I'm fine.
Yeah. So he's got a Lycanroc down and he's going to pick off this Malamar again. It puts him back on 2 prizes, like those even number of prizes, which is good if he's just going to keep KOing GXs. And removing Malamars is always a good thing. Yeah,
he doesn't really want to be in a position where he has to force himself to take 7 prize cards. You can always want to try and take exactly 6 if possible, because your opponent will just start putting things down that are progressively harder to KO.
Yeah. Adam can now he can take the KO again with this Necrozma coming into the next turn. He just manually attached to it, discard all the energy. But he was probably going to do that anyway, because Steffen just assessed his board and was like, yeah, I'm not hitting Choice Band and Devoured or Kukui Devoured Field this turn, I'm afraid.
Yeah, we just see the Necrozma pushed forward. There's still 2 Inkay in play. One of the Malamar is prized for Adam, and I was like, yeah, that's a good card to top deck. Cool. So one of the Inkay is prized. Malamar is prized, so there's actually 1 left in deck for Adam because 2 have been knocked out. But he's hoping to draw into it so he can start setting up the Marshadow at some point to copy some attacks as well.
Yeah.
One thing for Steffen is the attachment going to Acerola with the Zoroark and then having to reattach to the new Zoroark.
Yeah, that's true.
Means that his attachment is 1 turn behind again because he needs to get energy, 2 attachments into the Lycanroc to be able to use their attacks, and that's the only way he's going to take this Necrozma down quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really weird position for him to be in because he's not going to be one-shotting this Necrozma anytime soon, and it means that it's going to be putting in an awful lot of work against him. He could try and power up the GX attack to try and think about the future turns, but it means he's not getting any chip damage down this turn. He'd have to wall out with something, and everything's got a lot of damage on it because of that Black Ray GX.
So this turn, Adam is going to go for the Rescue Stretcher. Now Rescue Stretcher lets you shuffle him up to 3, I believe. Or is it exactly 3?
I believe it's exactly 3.
So he's in a position where he might have to put back something he doesn't really want to. But here he's putting the 2 Inca and a Malamar back in. He has the Mysterious Treasure in hand, so he can just immediately grab the
Malamar
back again. So he's going to put that on top and then just go, I'm just going to proceed to declare Mysterious Treasure and just take it from my pile that I've put down. Oh no, there we go. So he's going to go, right, I'll put it back in deck. I don't want this Ultra Ball right now.
And you're right, that is an old school copycat.
It is indeed.
It looks like it's one of the e-readers.
I was going to say, it's one of the e-readers, and they are some of my favourite ways of doing the cards.
Did you ever have that e-reader machine in the end?
No, I didn't.
Same.
But it's kind of super cool that it was kind of integration.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, it was like, this is futuristic technology. Like, this is awesome.
Opting to play a couple of the retro cards, probably because, like I said, he probably just had them lying around.
I love this mentality of, look at how many Inks I have. At any moment, I could just turn them all into Malamars.
And he does draw a Malamar off the prize card, so he gets
that's
one
really good.
Guaranteed.
Putting Steffen in a very tricky position with his current board state.
It's
going to need to be a very good turn from him, I think.
Also, what Steffen really needs here is basic, DCE, Guzma, get rid of that Marshadow, because otherwise he's really stuck.
Yeah, that would do it. Maybe the only thing about that is if he goes for that play, it still leaves potentially 3 Malamar next turn just to power up another Necrozma GX again, because it'll be sent to the bench and he can start attaching to it.
Yeah, we had the skateboard in hand, right, to be able to pivot the Deoxys, so he can keep going.
Ultra Balling 2 fighting is not going to help his odds when it comes to trying to get this GX attack off if he ever wants to do it. The other thing is he might just try and wall out with this Lycanroc.
Yeah,
and just say, well, I'm going to attach to something, I'm going to just keep my energy on board and hope you don't take a KO on me.
So what's happened here actually is Adam's gone down to even prize cards, which means that if he does use his Marshadow, he actually can't use the Dawnwings GX attack anymore.
Well, he's already used Black Ray.
This is true, yeah. So he's like, he knew that there was never going to be an option, so he could use the Black Ray. So he's actually okay here to kind of just go, it's fine, I can just use it as a Dark Flash.
That's a fresh Zoroark as well. It did not retain that 100 damage that got put on the Zorua. So he's going to go for that Guzma play where he brings up the Marshadow and takes that KO.
Yeah, and the 2 prize cards here, really big and really important. However, if Adam can find a way to get the 4 energy down...
Well, he has 2 of the pieces in his hand. He has the escape board and he has 1 Malamar.
And he also does have a copy of the extra copy of Marshadow in deck. So he could also still find a way of getting the Marshadow powered up if he draws into it.
Yeah.
And actually what he's probably quite happy to see here is Stefan played the... used the trade and has a really big card in. So that was a question of how many cards do you have in hand?
He has the copycat, yeah.
He has the copycat there, so he's going to Malamar. He's going to probably attack. Yep.
There's 2.
He's going to play as many pieces as he can because he doesn't want to draw back into a lot of these.
Thin out the deck for sure.
And then he gets the copycat.
He's looking at a Marshadow in his hand as well.
Really speaking, he wants to save the bench space, I think, for the Marshadow because that increases his odds. Because then he only needs to get 2 Malamar in play in the manual attach as opposed to 3 Malamar in play in the manual attach.
That's true. That's probably what he's debating right now, I'd say.
So the easier out would be to get to leave the bench space potentially. But then again, he may decide differently. He's really weighing it up.
Do you make Steffan's hand smaller or your hand bigger?
Well, because Steffan's hand's not particularly big.
Yeah.
So
it was about 7 cards.
Like had it been like maybe 9 or 10, I reckon he'd have been playing the copycat.
That's a copycat turn, yeah.
Because what he does is he plays the copycat, and then he probably wants to find a way to draw back into the Marshadow if you still need to see some more cards.
I mean, again, ideally when you're playing copycat for a lot of cards, it can feel like a Tempest GX. It's a weird one as well. He's only playing 1 copy of it. We're not seeing it in too many lists. Some people just think it's too risky, maybe.
Well, it's only really good if the Zoroark kind of snowball out of control. But if that's the case and it's snowballing out of control, it's kind of a bad thing for you anyway. It's not a great position to be in. So having to kind of just go, okay, right, I'll just take 4. See what we offer 4. He does need to hit double Malamar and Psychic.
We'll point out we got 1 minute left of this match.
Yeah, so this is going to go tight to time.
Yeah.
Both players could still feasibly win this though in time. Like there's not too many more knockouts to take.
Yeah, the 3-turn rule I think could give them just enough time to actually close out this game. And
so has someone gone out to call time for us? Okay. We'll have time called momentarily. We get the 1 Malamar, so he has the Stretcher. So when he stretched last turn, he opted to take the 2 Inkay and the Malamar into deck.
He did.
To save 1 Malamar and discard, because it means that actually his outs become the second Stretcher.
Yeah, exactly.
To hit another one, so he's kind of thinking a turn ahead of like, okay, I really need to see these, and I've used a lot of my search, so maybe I want to draw it.
Well,
so
he gets rid of the Copycat, which is unfortunate because he would have liked to, well, I suppose Marshadow and then Copycat isn't a great synergy, is it? Attaches for turn. He's going to get a second Malamar out that's...
So he did hit it. He hit all of the things that he needed to hit. He hit all 3 Malamar.
And he did it off a Marshadow to 4.
And discards 4 energy. I think they're actually Psychic E-Readers as well.
Yep. That is a big KO.
And takes the KO on the fresh Zoroark.
And I believe time has been called right now.
So time has been called. They're both down to 2 prizes.
Yep.
And they're now in a position where Steffen is going, okay, I can't KO that Necrozma.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can get to a Guzma, we're kind of stuck.
Yeah. So Steffen's going to drop a turn now. And this is after time was called?
Yeah, because it was turn. So because the way it works is that you have to draw your card to start your turn. So that means time was called right at the end of Adam's turn. So Adam was turn 0.
Yeah.
So Steffen should be turn 1. Which is the situation. So Steffen has 2 turns to try and find a way of taking 2 prize cards.
Yeah, and it means that Adam has 1 turn to find a way of taking 2 prize cards, and with his bench full, it's gonna have to be like, I mean, it might be the Deoxys.
This is a kiss of the Kukui.
Oh my god, no.
So he needs to hit Devoured Field off of this 2 for this to win this game. You saw him kiss it. Steffen did not find the Devoured Field. Really would have had to be very lucky there, but have to see if he can take the knockout.
Unfortunate.
He was just 10 damage short. You can see him like, damn it, that was so close. Probably the single most intense moment. So
outside of that,
I think that looks like
win the game, and he's got
it. He has the Guzma.
That
was a superb series to see on the screen.
Fantastic.
Really interesting, finishing in time. And now we see, the two of them going, oh, there's the Devoured Field. It's like, yeah, but I had this card I wanted to play. And, the copy of Switch was prized.
That was a great set,
though. Unbelievable series of 3 games. It's actually a really interesting matchup. We've seen it a couple of times on stream. So
yeah, absolutely. Very enjoyable to watch. Yeah, and Adam played that one incredibly well.
Yeah, it was such a good series. Well, both players did. They were always playing to their outs, finding the ways to take prize cards when they needed them.
I want to point out as well, like we were talking about how many GX attacks you can choose from in this deck as well. And Adam, unlike a lot of the players we've seen on stream so far, he made the point of using Black Ray. Yeah. And it actually won him the game.
Yeah, knowing full well that it just makes the last knockout so much easier for him.
Exactly, yeah. It's great maths.
So that unbelievable series. And so Adam now going to 8-2-1. Looking really solid for the tournament. Steffen, kind of unlucky a little bit at the end. The Devoured Fields were in deck, both of them were there.
And it would have been really hype if he
hit it, would have been unbelievable.
Incredible.
So I think we have to do a little pack opening, and then we can take another little break.
Feeling the Guardians Rising?
Yeah, let's go for it. Okay. It's in English, so that'll work for us.
I can read this one, yeah.
And if you can get into it.
If I can open the pack, of course.
So we've got the code card.
What we do, Gry again?
GRI. I'll set it up during the break again. I'll let you guys know in chat when it's ready.
All right, what fantastic cards are we going to get this time? I've got a Glalie.
Lovely.
I've got a Watchog. I've got a multi-switch. That's cool. And what commons am I going to skip? All of them.
Oh, we got a
Rockroof.
Yeah.
The corner one.
Split, yeah.
And Whiskash is our rare.
Honestly, our pulls a bit awful. I hope the guys who've been getting the codes have been getting better pulls.
On the other hand, I've learned of so many cards that are rares, apparently. like Whiskash and Origorio. I didn't know that.
So thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and we'll be right back fairly soon for the next round.
Yep.